Hey everyone, welcome back to Frosty's Abronia, a channel dedicated to all things Abronia. In today's video, we are going to do some feedings and some Abronia enclosure maintenance. This way you can kind of see what I do on a weekly basis when it comes to cleaning up their enclosures a little bit and how I go about feeding them on a weekly basis. I hope you guys enjoy this video. It should be a pretty short video, but it kind of will encompass, what the day-to-day life it looks like working with Abronia. So I hope you guys enjoy. Take care. Keep watching. So first things first, I go ahead and get my grasshoppers and I put them in this shaker. This shaker is just a basic shaker you can get. The reason I get a shaker like this is one, working with grasshoppers can kind of be hard to work with them because they jump so much and they can, once they get bigger, they can even fly. So working with them can be kind of annoying sometimes. So getting a shaker cup where I can grab them out of their enclosure and put them in the cup and then shake them with different sort of calcium, revitalized D3 and vitamin A and stuff like that. Another thing I put them in the cup for is it's just easier to work with them. So even if I don't shake them up with calcium and all those other kind of things, being able to put them in a container that I could easily open and close the top of and get in and grab them and then reclose it is super helpful when it comes to working with grasshoppers. So I recommend picking up something like this. I used to use just a plain old mug, but they usually jump out of it compared to crickets. So you might want to put a lid on something like that. So you don't have to get something like this to do it. It's just a little easier to work with them. And this is fairly cheap. I'll put a link down in the description below. That's an affiliate link for this product. I've been using it for a little while now and it's super nice because you can reuse the calcium or whatever you're using to supplement that day or nothing at all and lock that up, not shake them however you want. So we're gonna give this a little shake, get that calcium on them. I don't know how well that'll show, but I like to turn it upside down, get some of that shaken up. This way, they're good and supplemented, and then we're gonna go ahead and take one out. Each one of these is getting 2 today, due to the fact that the shipment I did get is a small variance of grasshoppers, so they're only about yay big. They're pretty small for these Abronia, so we're gonna go ahead and do 2. Normally, if they're medium to large, I will just do 1 a week. Keep in mind, these are, I would believe, adults now. They've kind of moved past that subadult phase. They're in that 30 gram range that I want Abronia graminia to be in. So I will be feeding them a little less than when I was originally feeding them. However, with juveniles or anything younger than that, you're gonna have to change your feeding patterns for it. So let's go ahead and feed Syrax and Mithrax. We're gonna try to feed Nyraxes and Viraxes, which are the new Abronia vasconcelosi. However, they are recently joined and recently put in their enclosures, so there's a good chance they don't even come out. They've been really reclusive. This is very common when you get a new reptile shipped, so we may or may not see them in this video when it comes to feeding and maintenance, but hopefully I can get them out, find them, and get them to eat. I'd really be excited to catch that on camera for the first time, so we shall see. But let's go ahead and feed Mithrax and Syrax, which I know are excited to eat. So opening up the enclosure can be quite loud sometimes and jarring to them. I am hoping not to have that problem though today. I'm just go ahead and get it out of the tongs. You can see Mithrax is already very, very excited to eat.
Don't stop. Let me explain something.
Go ahead and move on to feeding Syrax here, who is also very excited to eat. Syrax is a much faster eater than Mithrax is. Syrax likes to guzzle down their food, while Mithrax definitely takes their time chewing. Again, that's all I'm gonna feed them today, as they are good, healthy weight. But we're gonna go ahead and try to feed Nyraxes and Veraxes, but we'll see if they're willing to come out or not. And then we'll move on to going ahead and trying to clean up these enclosures a little bit and do some maintenance. Firstly, we gotta track down Nyraxes here. Nyraxe likes to hang out in this area. I'm hoping to see if she'll eat today. She has been curious about the crickets, or the grasshoppers, I mean. So it gives me some hope that they're interested in eating. Now, one question I do get asked a lot is, why don't you just release the crickets or grasshoppers into their enclosures? And the main reason is why we don't do this is because they can choke on sphagnum moss and Spanish moss. I've seen many people post videos of that happening, and it's really unfortunate to see, and I would like to not have that ever happen to mine, so it's something I want to avoid. Now, tracking them down, it's going to be a little difficult here, but they should be in here somewhere.
Funny enough, a little while later, after recording this video, she actually ate. So here's a little footage of her eating the grasshopper I fed her soon after I finished recording the maintenance video. She came out about an hour later and then accepted the grasshopper, like you can see here, which is super exciting to see, especially after her not really eating for a little while. So I was super happy to see and glad to be able to capture it, that's for sure.
Unfortunately, I was not able to find where they're hiding at and wasn't able to feed them. That's okay. I'm not too worried about them not eating right away, but it's something I'll try to, keep an eye on and see if I can get them to come out and eat. It did take Mithrax and Syrax a while to do that, but we're gonna go ahead and start doing the other maintenance, which is watering down the sphagnum moss on the bottom. You want to keep that somewhat moist at all times. It can be hard to do at some times, but usually spraying it down twice a week is usually enough. You can see, you probably can't see, but Syrax is always, or Mithrax is always excited when I wet down stuff, always trying to figure out what's going on. As you can see, I'm just using the main blast on this. And what I like to do is once a week, wet everything down. So the entire enclosure I'll spray down. Try not to spray the Abronia directly. This goes with any other lizard too, but trying to avoid getting them directly wet due to the fact that that can put them into a shock state where the temperature change is a little much for them to handle. So here I am wetting down all of the sides and all of the sphagnum moss that I can, and all of the Spanish moss as well, to get it a nice good soak in. And then what we'll do is we will go ahead and actually flush the bromeliads. So flushing a bromeliad I do twice a week, where I will take the spray setting, not the mist setting, but the spray setting, put it into the bromeliad if you have bromeliads, and try to spray it out as best as possible. This way, if they defecate or have any sort of, grossness, it gets sprayed out. That way when they drink that water, it's fresh. I do this with all my bromeliads. I don't keep bromeliads in my enclosures, my new enclosures, due to the fact that a lot of people have mentioned them not wanting to be able to deal with that aspect of it, and including me, of them potentially getting sick due to defecating in these bromeliads, which they're drinking out of. As you can see, everything's pretty wet. I don't wash or wet down inside of the cork logs due to the fact I still want to have a dry space in them for them to go to, but I do go ahead and spray down their entire enclosures. This way they have at least once a week a humidity spike that allows them to really get that humidity. It can help with shedding, and it can just help with natural humidity as well. But that only lasts about a day, so it's really only like a spike for a day or so. But As you can see, Mithrax is always curious in what I'm doing. Mithrax at first was very shy, but the more I spot trained, the more I worked with them, the less nervous they are of me and more curious they are of me when it comes to food and such. But that's how I go about maintaining these. Moving on to Syrax enclosure, we're going to kind of do the same thing here, flush out those bromeliads, get everything nice and wet, especially that sphagnum moss on the bottom. We want to get that all nice and soaked up. That way, if they do need to go anywhere on the ground level to get nice and humid, they have a spot to do so. Like I said, I only spray down the entire tank about once a week just to get a really big humidity boost, and this really only lasts about 24 hours, and then it goes back to its normal humid cycle. Within my PVC and my mesh enclosures, it's pretty much, or the hybrid enclosures, it's pretty much the same, where it sprays them down, gets them nice and humid for a day or so. It will technically cool them as well, as long as you have the room cool, so it will do that as well. But this way they get a little bit of a nice humidity spike, and I still keep it between that 40 to 60% humidity during the normal week. But however, during this period of time, we are, spiking it up to 80 plus for a little while. Moving on to the hybrid enclosures I have, it's pretty much the same deal, but due to the fact that I'm not doing a bioactive substrate, I am doing a sphagnum moss substrate. We are going to want to soak that a little bit longer than you would your regular enclosure. For example, this is what I was talking about, where I'm just going to dump this. I have a cup that let's see how to focus, that I can put into a cup that has been drilled in here, and then I fill that cup up with water. And then what you would want to do is replace that cup on a weekly or bi-weekly basis to give them fresh water without the worry about them defecating and having to clean it. This way it stays in the same spot every time. You can easily take it in, take it out, no problems. And I just screw that directly into the cork. The cork is a pretty soft wood material, so you should be able to pretty easily, put that screw through it. Try to get a stainless steel one so it doesn't rust or anything like that. But pretty much the same concept here of just wetting everything down. Due to the fact that this is more of a hybrid enclosure, you're going to really want to make sure you soak these enclosures compared to your PVC enclosure, which may not need it as much. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video of me just showing you how I go about feeding them and then spraying down their enclosures. That's usually the most maintenance I do. I do occasionally trim plants and stuff like that. Usually I let those grow in for a while though and really grow into those enclosures. So you won't really see me trimming plants very much. I really like them to kind of take over and really expand. So it's not something I do a ton, and I didn't really see any too major things of fecal to really clean up. So not really a concern there for this week, but I do that throughout the week anyway, whenever I do see it. So it's not something I do all the time, but as you can see, Abronia maintenance and feeding is usually pretty light and easy to do. So once you get their enclosures set up and getting their humidity and temperature, UVB, basking, and all those upfront things, everything that keeps their enclosures in their perfect ecosystem, once you get that dialed in, actually working with and keeping Abronia isn't that bad. It's just all the prerequisite knowledge and setup stuff that usually takes the biggest learning curve in knowledge. So I hope you guys enjoyed this simple but informative video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really does help me out. Make sure to check out those links to the products I showed. If you're interested in them, those will be linked down in the description. I hope you all are doing well. Take care and peace.